I'm just gonna test fit the turbo. Kind of test fit the intercooler piping and just maybe see what I have to do, see what if I have to like clock the turbo. I suspect I'm gonna need some clamps, so I'm just gonna dig around, see if I can find the clamps, see which ones I need so that I can just order everything I need tomorrow. Actually, what I should do is throw some of these turbo studs on first, because I think as of right now there's only one. I don't even know why there's only one on there. So I need to grab the other 4. And I need to put this bracket thing on. So actually, let's start with the bracket. So I'll take the bracket off of the old head. So right there, you can see the bracket. Down at the bottom, there's 2 of them. They have nuts and studs. I think, yeah, I did buy the nuts and the studs. And then I did not buy new brackets. So I just need to transfer the new brackets over. Let's break those puppies loose. They look really rusted on there, so I'm gonna get some PB. And that thing's on there really tight. These things are so rusted that like even after you break it, it's equally tough to get it out like the entire time out. Really need to get some power tools. Okay, I got all 4 of those off. I have new studs, so I don't have to really worry about getting those out. I can just go grab the new ones. These studs down here, it's not threaded the whole way. See, there's those smooth parts in the middle. Whereas those for the turbo manifold, I believe those are just threaded the entire way, and they're probably shorter. Okay, so I'm threading these in. Just doing these by finger. I'm not gonna put a wrench on these. From my understanding, studs should be installed very loosely. Well, not loose, but not like wrench tight. Just however tight you can get them on by hand is good enough. Okay, so we got all 4. Just make sure those are as tight as I can get them just with my fingers. Now let's grab those. And I'm not going to bother cleaning them off because they're actually not even really dirty. Okay, there we go. Just need to get a little bit more tape off so that tape doesn't get stuck. Just pulled a bunch of that tape off just so I can mount this on without pinching any tape behind it. Let's grab the other one. This guy goes the other way. Okay, looks good. Part numbers read up. That's the way it should be. I just use the same torque spec as these up here, which are 20 Newton meters, I believe. These up here should be used with anti-seize. These ones I'm not so sure because it's not really, I mean the manifold touches it, but it's not as directly on the manifold. Like these are literally, the nuts are touching the manifold, whereas this, like the manifold's kind of touching that. I don't know. Yeah, maybe I should use a little bit of anti-seize on here. Wouldn't hurt. So actually, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Okay, I got the goods. Just gonna try to put a little bit on here. It's kind of difficult to put a little bit on with this gigantic brush. Oh, that's not a little bit. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Get that guy back in there. Okay, so I got my torque wrench here. I got all these tightened down, ready to do my 20 Newton meters. So I'm barely getting a bite on these without a deep because the stud's sticking out. Okay, so that's all good. So now I can move on to my 5 studs up here. But I actually already have one, so I really only need 4. So this is the part number for the turbo manifold studs. I'm not sure if I showed the other part number, but that's a stud for the these brackets. Okay, so I just have to remove the tape from each of the 5 stud locations. Look at that, I guessed that one almost perfectly. Okay, so they're all finger tight. Okay, so now I'm ready to go grab my manifold and just see what that's looking like. Then I can grab my turbo and see what that's looking like. Here's the custom intake. Just need it out of the way for a second. So here's the manifold. Boom. It's really rough. It's kind of weird. It's like not sanded down at all. in those spots. You can see how rough it is. Right here, it's pretty smooth. Right here, as you can visibly, you can see it. It's really rough over here. So I don't know what's going on with that. So let's mount this up on here. There we go. Now that's not going anywhere, but a lot of money if this thing gets damaged. So I'm just gonna loosely put a little nut on that middle one, just so there's no chance that this can fall off. I'm gonna cradle that like the baby that it is as I walk over here. Let's take it out of its bag. Okay guys, so I'm gonna take this whole thing apart and clean it. That's gonna go on there like that. Okay, so I should be able to still work on all 4 sides of the turbo even when it's on the manifold. I'm definitely gonna go ahead with just tightening down that clamp. Let's see, he says any C's on threads, hand tighten only. Yep. So let me go put some anti-C's on the threads. Okay, I got my anti-C's on those threads. So I'm ready to get the turbo mounted on there and tighten down that nut. Okay, so I got my anti-C's on there. I got that tightened a lot by hand. I didn't really know when to stop because it doesn't really get any easier. I mean, it doesn't really get any harder turning that nut down. I kept trying to turn the turbo relative to the manifold, and I basically stopped when I couldn't do that anymore, like trying as hard as I can to rotate the two. So I cannot rotate the two anymore at all. So I think it's on there pretty tight. So I might not have to clock this. This might be clocked properly because I want the intercooler hosing to come right here, down here underneath the pan. Not underneath the pan, but like right beside the pan right here. So let me grab the intercooler piping that he gave me and just see what that looks like. I don't know if maybe you turn this like this. Maybe get to it. Oh, okay. That must be how it's supposed to go. So let me take this aluminum part off, stick the silicone part on here. So that's nice and close to the block. Definitely out of the way of the axle. And then right here, I should be able to go right to this. It's not going to be perfect, but it's pretty close. So this guy, let's see if I can slide it in here. It should be able to come like that. Do the intercooler hosing. Let me just grab my, so this is how it was. So this top hose obviously would not be used anymore. So let's try to just pull that one off. This bottom one was right here on the pan. And see those 2 little screws? Those little like threaded holes right there? That's where these 2 little screws went, right in there. So really, I may be able to just use this because it looks like that silicone hose goes up perfectly to it. Or actually, this silicone hose actually goes up, this one goes up perfectly probably to that. The size might be a little bit off, I'm not sure. I don't know, let's take this off, see how well this would mate up. Yeah, it wouldn't quite reach. Yeah, so it wouldn't quite reach, and it also is like, it's also the wrong size. It's like a really small, it's probably like 2 inches. That's probably like 2.5. This little section should not be used, but I might be able to still use this guy, which came with the APR intercooler. And Arnold did say that I could come back to his shop and he could basically weld up little mounting tabs for this to be on here. And he said the same thing for the downpipe. For the downpipe hanger, he didn't put the hanger bolts on because fitment isn't going to be perfect if he does it before he even sees my car. If I bring it back to him after the fact, he can mount this in. But he said sometimes it's actually better that this stay disconnected from the pan so that it can have some more movement and some flex.